Fuck it.
Fuck it. Fuck it.
Hey, mama. If you are a mom and are tired of the wash, rinse, repeat burnout cycle of motherhood, this podcast is for you. If you feel lonely and isolated in your motherhood journey, this podcast is for you. If you feel like you have completely lost your identity since your babies were born, this podcast is for you. If you feel like every other mom has it together except for you, this podcast is for you. My name is Amanda, and I'm a life coach dedicated to teaching every mom the tools she needs to liberate herself off the back burner. I am living proof that a woman can be present and loving to her kids while also being a whole ass person outside of being that kid's mom. The secret? Learning when to say fuck it. Hello, my mamas. How are you doing? How is the summer treating you? In Wisconsin, the weather has actually been really nice, except for this random, really heavy storm we got last night. If you guys follow me on social media, you would have seen it in my stories. It went from nothing was happening to tropical storm in a matter of 10 minutes. And it was fucking nuts. And then 20-30 minutes after that, it just went back to normal rain. And then we had lightning all night. It was just so fun. But other than the random storm, it actually hasn't been very hot. It's been I think it's 75 degrees today. It's not nighttime yet, Amanda. It's still daytime. It's 75 degrees today. It's lovely. It's just lovely, lovely weather. We have giant Pixar clouds, and I really do love it out here. It's quite lovely. Back home in California, they are roasting. They're just dying in triple digit heat in July. And I'm really looking forward to experiencing that when the girls and I go out there next month. It's going to be great. We're all going to die. Fucking California. It's so hot. So how's the weather out there? Don't actually tell me. If you're going to reply to me or write a review, let's not make it about the weather. I don't know why I started this with the weather, because I actually hate small talk. I took the kids to the park a couple nights ago, and this kid who my daughter Aria does not like at all came, and Aria walked up to me and she was just like, "Can we leave?" I was like, "Why? We just got here." She's like, said the girl's name. "This bitch is here." She didn't say this bitch. She said the girl, but I'm not going to say her actual name. So, "This bitch is here." And I was like, "Oh, did you say hi?" And she just glared at me. And then it got us on the topic of small talk and how much we all pretty much hate it. No, Aowen was like, "No, it's not that big of a deal. This is how you do it. Blah, 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 blah." I was like, okay, that's nice. Small talk is my own personal hell. If I get to hell, then I'm pretty sure it's just going to be me locked in an elevator, forced to make small talk with strangers in loop forever and ever and ever without any book on my person to save me. That would be my own personal hell, is small talk. I fucking hate small talk. But the weather's nice right now, and I just watched my sister's story before hopping on here to record this, and it's just about how she's dying out there. So the weather was on my mind. But I hope you're not dying wherever you are. And if you are, then just know that Wisconsin is really lovely right now. Just gotta brag. Today, I am talking about body image. I've done so much work on my body image. And I'm so proud of myself and how far I've come. I know that I still have work yet to do. I don't know if the work will ever really end. All of the thoughts about women's bodies are so deeply ingrained in us. It takes a really long time to unprogram yourself, but I just wanted to share my experience with you because it is summertime, and it's a season where so many women, the mass majority of women, get really stressed out thinking about being in a bikini or just being in shorts. You know, it's hot and you don't have the luxury of covering up in a, you know, chunky sweater, you know, leggings all the time or something, because it's fucking hot. And so I just thought it was appropriate to bring up this topic now, because I know so many of you are struggling with hating your bodies, but also being really fucking hot. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So yeah, I titled this episode Fat Girl Summer because that's what I'm doing. I'm living my best fat girl summer. Fuck the hot girl summer. Fuck that shit. Hot is so subjective, right? Everybody has their own different opinions. And you know what? My body is not for anybody else's enjoyment. That is not the point and purpose of my body. It is not the point and purpose of your body. And these are the types of things that you have to work through and like unprogram. It's like a virus, like a computer virus that's just stuck in your computer mind, for the sake of this horrible analogy, that you have to fucking get rid of. Because that's the message that women get, right? Is that our bodies are for the enjoyment of men. And a huge part of our value is tied up in our fuckability, to be perfectly blunt, right? How many men want to fuck you? That's what makes you pretty. That's what makes you valuable. That's what gets you the gold star for being, you know, really good at being a female. And it's all bullshit. And that's why we're not allowed to age, because then we're not fuckable anymore, right? We're not allowed to be fat or anything but a very specific body type and size. But guess what? All of our bodies are unique. They're all different. And this part is so important. Our bodies are supposed to change as we get older. We are not supposed to look like a 21-year-old in perpetuity. That was never meant to be physically possible, especially after giving birth. So here's a hopefully brief overview of my journey with my body. I always hated my body. Always. It's just, period. I always hated it. Because I was never skinny enough. And that's basically what it boils down to, right? I just wasn't skinny enough. I struggled. I don't have a naturally thin body. I've always had an hourglass body, which, that type of body tends to have more fat content on it than a naturally thin body, which is how it's supposed to be. But I always hated my body. And when did I start? I don't remember when I started dieting. I don't remember. And I should have looked it up before coming on here. But so if this is a current struggle for you and something that you would like to start working on, body image and loving your body and just deprogramming yourself from diet culture, you have to read Susan Hyatt's book, Bare, B-A-R-E. I will link it in the show notes, because the work that woman has done in this specific topic, this is her life's work. She's brilliant. I love her to death. And she did it for herself. And what she did was find her natural weight. But in that book, she gave a statistic for by the time a woman reaches a certain age, I think by the time the average woman reaches the age 45, she will have spent about 30 years of her life dieting. Thinking about food, thinking about what you're going to allow yourself to eat, thinking about what you ate yesterday, thinking about what you're going to eat tomorrow, thinking about, the food that you're going to want to eat at the party on Saturday. So how are you going to starve yourself until then to allow yourself to do that on Saturday? This is what we spend most of our mental energy on, is food that's going to go in just the food that we're going to eat. Think about what you could do with all of that mental energy if it wasn't wasted on food. We could fucking solve world hunger by now if we weren't all programmed to waste so much time on food. But yeah, I don't remember when I started dieting. I remember I did Atkins as like a sophomore in high school. And then I got something called Guillain-Barré when I was in my junior year of high school, and it temporarily paralyzes you. So I was in the hospital for a total of 3 weeks. And while I was in the hospital, they were doing my intake and asking me if I had any dietary restrictions. And I said, yes, I'm allergic to dairy and I'm also on Atkins. And the nutritionist looked up and she said, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that in here. And I was so stressed out because all the things happening with my body, already, right? I was paralyzed. And all I could think about was, oh my God, I'm going to get fat. I just want to hug that version of myself and just be like, sweetie, fuck that. Just take care of yourself because, you can't move right now. Be a little bit more concerned about that than, oh my God, I'm going to get fat. But that was my honest reaction. Sitting in a hospital bed, couldn't move. The bottom half of my body, could not move my arms. Really, the only part that it didn't get into was my torso, my chest, and my neck. And thank God, because then I would have ended up on a ventilator. A lot of Guillain-Barré patients end up on a ventilator because it gets into your chest cavity and your lungs stop working. So thank God that didn't happen to me. But I was just laying there, not able to move my arms, legs, lift myself up to sit up. And I was just worried that I was going to get fat. Spoiler alert, I did not get fat. I actually got the thinnest that I've ever been because my body was working so hard trying to repair itself. I had Jack in the Box for lunch every day and I was not doing exercise, obviously, because I was laid up in bed, couldn't move. And I lost so much weight because my body was sick. And there was a sick part of me that was a little bit happy about how thin I got. So that's where I started. Okay. Because that's what our culture does to females when we're made to believe that all of our value is wrapped up in how we look, the outward, external, I can't think of the rest of this sentence, but how our external shell looks and is perceived by everybody else. That's what gives us value. And then I had kids. I started having kids. My first one I was 22 when my first was born. I gained 50 pounds with that pregnancy. So, and everyone was telling me oh, you'll be fine. You'll go right back because you'll be breastfeeding and you'll just lose the breastfeeding just sheds the weight off of you. That was not the case for me. And it turns out it's not the case for a lot of women. You can't just bunch us all into one generic group and say that this is what's going to happen to your body. Okay. We are all different and unique. So if you are a first time mom or even a second time mom, maybe you've never really even asked or realized that it's normal for your body. My body actually held on to fat while I was breastfeeding. It was virtually impossible for me to lose weight while I was breastfeeding. And then I kept having children. All of my kids are 2 years apart. So by the time I was weaning, a kid, I got like a period and then I was pregnant again. So my poor body just did not get a chance to level out at all. I just was going up and down the scale, up and down the scale, up and down the scale, because I kept getting pregnant over and over again. And that's another podcast episode. I won't tangent down the road I was just about to tangent on. And then after my fourth, I was done having children, and also getting divorced. And I started working out in the morning, and it was the first time that I would really was doing something for myself. Mind you, it really wasn't with the exact right intentions, but I had done quite a bit of work up to that point on myself because I had 4 girls. And after I kept having girl after girl after girl, I started doing work on loving myself and loving my body because I refused to set a negative, self-hating example for my girls. They never saw me go on any kind of crash diet at all, ever. They never heard me say anything negative about my body, and they've never seen me, poke myself in the mirror, because even if it's silently hating yourself, you will. It's still visible to someone else if they live in the same house with you, right? My girls never saw any of that because I made it my mission to fix my shit with my own self, for lack of a better way of putting it, because I really didn't want them to get all those negative thoughts about their bodies from the home. Now, obviously, I can't do anything about when they're at school, when they're around their friends and all that stuff. But I do believe that the foundation that I've set for my girls is a good one. And it's hopefully going to help them in just taking care of themselves and loving themselves and refusing to believe the lie that they exist to bring pleasure to men. But I started working out about the time Ozzy, my youngest, was 2. And it felt really good. It felt really good and I was, working on my mindset throughout that process because I really didn't want it to be about losing weight. I wanted it to be about just taking care of myself and strengthening all the muscles that had been making babies for 4 years or 6 years or however long it took me to pop them all out straight. And, breastfeeding, it's so hard on your body. And I did it back to back to back to back. I was pregnant and then I was breastfeeding and I was pregnant and then I was breastfeeding. I was pregnant, I was breastfeeding, just never ending. And so I finally had my body back to myself. And it was really fun to push my body and to see how strong I actually was and to see how strong I could be tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And so I did lose weight. But that didn't last. And then I lost weight again a few years later. And that time it wasn't just working out. It was counting calories. Basically, I had an app on my phone and I was logging everything in, and I got down to my goal weight and I was so excited. And then I was like, wait, does this mean I have to count calories for the rest of my life? Because I really don't want to do that. I don't want to measure my food out in perpetuity. I don't want to, I don't want to do that. I don't want to weigh my food and measure it out and put it into this stupid app just so that I can stay at this weight. That sucks. And then shit hit the fan with my personal life, and I stopped giving a shit about the calorie counting, and I just focused on taking care of myself because I was very close to spiraling into a very dark place with everything going on. I lost my father. I had to move because we were living with him. I broke up with my, at the time, long-term boyfriend, all in the same year. And so, yeah, I was like, fuck the calories. I don't give a shit. And then I really dug deep into this whole loving myself thing. And I was like, you know what? We're doing something different this time. And I decided that what I needed was to have a period of time where I didn't restrict myself, because I had spent my whole life berating myself and lying to myself and restricting myself. You know, my body would crave something that I deemed a bad food, and I wouldn't give it to it. And so I just went through this period of time, and I'm still kind of in that period, honestly, where I didn't question it. I was like, I want a chocolate chip cookie. I'm going to have a chocolate chip cookie. Oh, I want some pineapple. Okay, let's have some pineapple. But it's all just been like, I'm listening to my body. I'm eating when I'm hungry. I'm stopping when I'm full. And when I'm hungry, I will eat whatever my body is asking for. And I then worked on all of the thoughts that came up of just all the shame shit about, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm eating so much sugar, or I really shouldn't be doing this. I really shouldn't do that. Like, I've talked about this nasty word should before, and I walk my talk. Okay. Every time I catch myself saying I shouldn't do this, I stop and I examine it. And I always end up finding some kind of programming that I didn't choose, thoughts that I didn't choose, that I've been living my life by, because they've been there since before I can remember. And so now I am the heaviest that I've ever been, and also the happiest that I've ever been. Will I stay my current weight forever? I don't know. Probably not. I'm still trying to figure out like what my natural weight is. Do I think that this weight is my natural weight? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, and I don't really care. I might be like the heaviest that I've ever been, but it's also the most confident in myself that I've ever been. And it's the only time that I've ever felt comfortable in a two-piece. I have two pieces for this summer, actually, and I love them. They're so cute. I'm a sucker for vintage fashion, especially with bathing suits. I absolutely refuse to buy any sort of modern bathing suit. I can't. It's not my style, and I don't like it. So I buy all my shit off of uniquevintage.com. Highly recommend. All their shit is like high quality, and they have such a wide variety of sizes. So there's something for everybody in there. And I have this adorable yellow with white polka dot retro two-piece. And then I got a black off the shoulder like top, and then a plaid red checkered bottom from Amazon. It was cheap, but high-waisted and like still that retro look. And I love them. They're so cute. I love them so much. And it's just so ironic because back when I was a skinny teenager, I hated being in two pieces. I absolutely hated it. I always would like keep my shirt on until the last possible moment, take it off, and then hop in the water really quick because like I felt like the water was hiding me. I remember this picture, I'll try to find it, of me with a friend in a hot tub, and we were standing in the hot tub, and so like my torso was out of the water, and I did like this thing where I crossed my arm like across my chest and my stomach, so that way like you couldn't see my stomach because I was that uncomfortable and I was so skinny. Looking back, I was like, I have nothing to, should have been flaunting my ass everywhere. But I didn't love myself. I hated myself. And that's the thing. Like, someone very, very, very dear to me was getting married. It was her wedding day. And her body is like most people's like dream goal body. And she was standing in this beautiful wedding dress on her wedding day, looking at herself in the mirror and poking at her underarm softness and like making a ugh face and like just poking these areas that are supposed to be soft. And that's all she could see. That's it. That's all she could see were these little areas of her body that she's hated for forever and still hates to this day. So it doesn't matter. Like, we think that once we get to a certain size or a certain number on the scale, that we'll finally love ourselves and we'll finally feel happy in our bodies. But that's not the case. We get there and there's something else to nitpick. There's something else that's wrong. Or we can only believe that we're beautiful if someone else is constantly giving us that validation. And if they stop giving us that validation, we spiral. Because it really has nothing to do with the numbers at all, or the sizes at all. It's all to do with your thoughts about yourself. And so you have to get to a point where you believe, not that you know it, but you believe it. You believe it like you believe that the sky is blue. You don't question if the sky is blue. You're like, yeah, it's blue. It's fucking blue. Where you believe that your inherent worth and value as a person is valid and it's there regardless of what your shell looks like, regardless of what you are accomplishing that day, regardless of how productive you have been, how much you have, how much success you have in your life. If you have a family, if you are partnered, if you're married, if you have kids, if you have well-behaved kids, none of that shit will ever be able to sway the belief that you are inherently valuable and that you are inherently worthy of love just for existing. Until you can get to that place, it doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter what the scale says. You'll still hate yourself. While I was shopping, took myself shopping a couple weeks ago because I just needed some new summer clothes. And I was struggling with looking for the size that I thought that I probably needed. And so I worked on this thought before going shopping. So it's very intentional. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I was going to spiral out in the store because I love myself and I wanted to take care of myself. And I anticipated this being a struggle for me and for my brain to like just wrap my mind around. And so what I did was I worked on this thought of, I'm going to go into the store and find Amanda's size, right? So instead of looking at the tag and looking at the numbers, I was looking at the tag and I was looking at the numbers, and instead of like just assigning a value to that number, that number meant about me as a person, I was just like, nope, we're just going in and we're going to find the tags that say Amanda. That's it. Of course, I didn't say Amanda. So I had to do all this work before I went into the store because I did have to look at the numbers. I can't just, have the world bend around me. It's not the world's job to do that. It's not the world's job to, what am I thinking? It's not the world's job to placate my insecurities. It's my job to work on my insecurities, right? And so that's what I did. And so when I went shopping, it really wasn't a big deal. I was looking at all the different numbers and thinking, and yeah, I think this is probably my size. This is probably Amanda's size. And I went into the dressing room, and if it wasn't, I was like, oh no, this tag says Tina, silly me. Or this tag says Ashley, just whatever name. But that reframe really, really, really helped me because the numbers are all neutral. It's just a number. It doesn't mean anything until a human brain looks at it and assigns meaning, right? So you take 18. If you're 18 years old, that's an exciting time. You're an adult. If you're a size 18, oh my God, you're plus size. You should probably eat some veggies. Or if, I don't know, if your blood pressure has, if you're something over 18, you're fucking dying, right? That's really bad because you're dying. If your dog is 18 years old, wow, that's so amazing. You got to spend that many years with your puppy because they don't normally last that long. Not as long as cats. 18 is just a number. 20 is a number. 22, 24, 6, 0, 4, 10, 12. They're all just numbers. They're neutral. They mean nothing. So if you get stressed out when you shop for yourself, examine the thoughts that you have. Examine the thoughts that come up when you look at a tag that has, a triggering number, a number that your brain has decided is not okay. Why? Why isn't it okay? What does it mean what are you making it mean about you as a person? And do you want to keep those thoughts? Would you rather just believe that you're a good person and you're worthy of love just for existing? Take, for instance, your dog or your cat or your ferret or, whatever kind of animal you have. My dog does nothing for me except lick me with his stinky breath. He does not clean up around the house. He does not take the trash out and actually just creates more responsibility and work for me and costs me money. I love the shit out of my dog. He doesn't have to do anything for me to love him. He just exists, and I look at his puppy face and I'm like consumed with so much love for this little dog. So if we can feel that way about our pets, why can't we feel that way about each other? And most importantly, why can't we feel that way about ourselves? If you know that your dog is inherently worthy, what is keeping you from knowing that you are inherently worthy? Let's live our best fat girl summers. Let's show off our mom bellies and not give a shit. Be okay with the fact that when we sit down, our stomachs fold because they're supposed to. Because our bodies expand and contract and they bend and they do all these things to help us as we're just navigating our lives. Isn't that cool? It's amazing. Tummies are supposed to look like that. They're not supposed to be flat all the time. And if you do have a flat tummy, great. That's your tummy. My tummy doesn't look like that, especially after kids, but I never had a flat tummy. And that's okay. I was never supposed to. My belly isn't like that. And if your belly isn't like that, that's okay. It was never supposed to be. I'm going to start sharing Fat Girl Summer, like BOPO pictures of myself on social media because I want to be that inspiration for people. There's this Instagram account, I think it's Birds Papaya. I will also link her account in my show notes. She's just so open and vulnerable with sharing what her post-kid body looks like. And I just love it so much because that's such a huge part of this work of loving yourself and loving your body now, as it is now, is to switch your feed, right? So if all you see is, the curated version of a female body that society has put together, then if that's all you see, then your brain is thinking that that's normal. It's not normal. Most women don't look like that. And most of those images are photoshopped and they're smoothed out and they have to do so much work to make their bodies look like that. And then they have to do post-production work to do the things that a natural body can't do. So if that's all you're seeing, your brain thinks that that's normal. So you need to start looking at normal bodies. Start filling your feed with normal bodies, mom bodies, bodies that look like yours. Because then you won't feel like such a outsider in the very human body that you have. I love you guys. I want you to love yourselves. Your bodies made life. We make the people. That's incredible. It's incredible how your body has created humans while sustaining your life and then just keeps on trucking. What? Our bodies are incredible. I had a almost fatal complication with my third child. Long story short, I just wouldn't stop bleeding. And I had to get 2 bags of blood transfused into me, which was disgusting. I don't do well with needles but I'm really grateful because it did make a big difference in my recovery. And I got home and my mom was with us for a week afterwards. And then I was on my own. I was married, but that's a different podcast. I was on my own. After almost bleeding out, my body is incredible. And how dare I hate it for anything after all it's done for me and my kids. So before I leave, I want to just that's not the right. I want to tell you guys, I'm finally on Apple Podcasts. So if you are an Apple person, if you could do me a favor and listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, I would really appreciate it. And review it. Your review could literally just be an emoji. It doesn't have to be anything profound. Just anything, any kind of consistent reviews helps the algorithms, and it helps increase the chances of my show getting featured for the, new and trending or up and coming or whatever the fuck Apple calls it. So that other moms who are drowning and need encouragement and need this safe space for themselves, so they can finally do something for themselves, they can find me. And if you do that, please let me know somehow. Take a snapshot of it and DM me on Instagram or Facebook, and you'll be entered into my monthly book raffle where I give away a book and a Starbucks gift card. Any love that you show the podcast, a like, comment on social media, a share on social media, reviews, anything like that, you get entered. And I haven't picked a book for this month yet, so I don't know what I'm giving away, but I only give away books that I just love so much. I'm such a big reader. So yeah, give the podcast some love and you can be entered. And also, if you would like to learn how to do this for yourself, learn how to create your own worth and your own value, and just start living your life for yourself so that you're more than just that kid's mom, sign up for your free 60-minute consultation so that I can show you how I can help you. Because you can live that life that you dream about. You can live it now. You don't have to wait. And you don't have to be on the back burner until your kids are in college. Have a great week.
Are you living your one wild life to the fullest? You're not? Why the fuck not? What are you waiting for? The time to live is now, mama. Do not wait until your youngest is in college. Let your dreams hire me for an hour so I can explain how I can help you achieve any goal in your life. You've put yourself off long enough. It's time to pour into you. The link to schedule your 60-minute complimentary consultation is in my show notes. Join the community of Fuck It Moms by following me on Instagram and Facebook at Fuck It Mothering. That's fuck without the U. So FCK It Mothering. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss your weekly encouragement. And please rate, review, comment, and share. All of these things help with the algorithms, so that way when other overwhelmed moms are looking for encouragement, they can find me. Every month, I give away one of my favorite books and a Starbucks card to a lucky winner. All you have to do to enter is write a review or tag me in social media when you share an episode. See you next Sunday, gorgeous.